Okay, fun for the day is going to be replacing motor mounts and transmission mounts. The three mounts, two main ones, one on the transmission on the 500 SL. How did I notice they were gone or going? You can see down, I don't know if you can see it, but right here by this exhaust clamp right in front of my finger, there's a heat shield here. You can see where the clamp is touching the heat shield once in a while. So, stay still, camera. Anyway, they're not overly difficult, but they're not overly easy either. You're going to need to jack up the engine in order to do this, so in order to do that you have to make sure that you're not going to break stuff when you're jacking it up. Remove your two air intake tubes, one on each side. Fan shroud. There's a little pin here. Squeeze the two little tabs at the back. Pull the pin just like a grenade. Pops out. Stick that somewhere where you're not going to lose it. Take the fan shroud. You'll see it's marked right on here. Big words, open, close, and little arrows. Close this way, open this way. Open, turn, loosen it, and just lay it over top of the fan. Because when we jack this engine up, the fan is going to move, and if you didn't remove this shroud, it would break it. The fan would break it when it moved up. The only other thing is that in the back, when you're jacking the engine up, you have to be careful not to pinch the throttle linkage and stuff. So anyway, I might as well show you them. Engine mount, same for both sides. Just like most Mercedes mounts, they're pretty much the same damn thing. Locator pin, and except these ones have two bolts instead of one on the top and one on the bottom, like a lot of the newer models. Head transmission mount, one bolt here and then two bolts on the bottom. Just a little tip if you're working on Mercedes, almost all of them, if any of the newer ones anyway, working on brakes, any part of the suspension, a lot of time you have to move the suspension back and forth. Front wheels are off the ground. Nice lip scoring on the rotor. That's why I was going to replace them in the pads, but anyway, you want to move the suspension back and forth, or the axle back and forth, and you don't want to have to keep getting up and grabbing the steering wheel with dirty hands. Take your key, turn the ignition on, that'll unlock the wheel, then turn the ignition off, leave the key in there. Until you pull the key out, the ignition, the steering won't be locked. So your steering will be unlocked and you'll be able to move it back and forth manually. I do this all the time when I'm doing brakes and stuff, and it's just, like I said, easy enough to grab the wheel or the rotor and pull it side to side when you're moving things, trying to get stuff out of the way, which I'm going to be doing to drop these motor mounts out. So anyway, back in a minute. I've also got to remove the rear undershield, which is for 8mm bolts, the plastic under tray, back when I get everything set. Okay, so we're on the front, from the front, shooting from the front. This is the driver's side. This is the chassis leg with the suspension mount, the lower control arm mount here. There's a hole here, goes up to the engine mount, and there's a hole back here, goes to the second one. I'll quickly show you that. With no light on it whatsoever. Hold on. There's the second one. There's 13mm, and you're going to need a deep socket or an extension. And you're going to loosen all four, both sides at the same time. This one's a bitch to get on. 13. It is a 13, isn't it? It better not be a 14. I'm positive it's a 13. Anyway, while I'm trying to find the frickin' bolt, there we go. This is for the m119 V8, which means the older V8. If you have a the M113, which is I think 97 or 98 and later. The procedure is very similar, except there's more stuff to remove. You have to remove the cooling fan, like the viscous fan from the front of the engine, and I think the air conditioning pump or compressor. Anyway, you don't want to listen to me or watch me pull 4 bolts out, so I'm going to pull the same. It's the exact same on the other side. Over there you can see the front hole right there, and then the other one's the back. So we're going to take all 4 of those off and be back in a few minutes. Okay, I am going to be jacking up from under the oil pan with a carpeted piece of wood to disperse the weight of the jack under the oil pan. I don't like doing this, but there's not really anywhere else to do it. And I would highly recommend, if you have one, I have an engine lift. I lent it out years ago and it has never come back to me. There's an eyelet on the front of the engine. You can pick it up by that and do the exact same thing, which is basically lift the engine slightly. If I dent my oil pan, well, you'll know about it. I will let you know. But I'm basically just going to jack the engine up slowly off of those mounts. Put this down so you can see it moving. My hand's moving. Of course, you want to continue to be careful at the back for the accelerator linkage. Make sure nothing's getting pinched anywhere and nothing's being crimped anywhere. The last thing you want to do is break things when you're trying to fix things, because that's never a good idea. Looking okay so far. And again, that's why this rad shroud is down here, because right now this fan would be pushing it and snapping it. It's not touching anywhere up there. Okay. That should be about good for now. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, I apologize, but it's going to be a bitch to see down in here. You can see the wrench. It's going forward. There's a 17 mil bolt on the top of the engine mount, the top bolt. And it's going to be a bitch. I'm on the passenger side right now. It's going to be a bitch to undo because it is on at, what is it, 50 foot-pounds of torque, which means brake-free for a bolt that's been on forever is probably going to be at least 80 foot-pounds, and that's going to be tough to do under there. I'm using a bent handle spark plug ratchet. Let's see if I can do this around you. I cannot even get room to move in here. Oh, one other pretty important thing, because you're going to be working near the alternator, which means there's going to be live power, positive cable going to your alternator. Unhook the negative battery cable before you do this, and make sure you have your engine, your radio code and stuff like that to rehook everything up and to reset it anyway when you're done. But unhook your negative battery cable. Negative battery cable. Only the negative, not the positive. Do not unhook the positive. Have I said it enough? Don't unhook the positive. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but don't unhook the positive. Negative only, and tuck the negative out of the way so it's not going to recontact the terminal. Anyway, I'm going to work on this. It might be easier to get from below or above or whatever. I don't know. I haven't done one of these before. So, I will just find out what the easiest position for this is and let you know. Thanks. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, a few minutes ago I was trying to figure out the best position to undo this. And actually, the best way was to just jack it up. I mean, I'm not touching the firewall, I just didn't have it jacked up far enough. So I'm on the bolt now and loosening it. And I'll get back to you when I'm pulling out the mount. Okay, so on the passenger side, under the car, facing toward the back, you can see out the back there, and just behind the cross member, the lower control arm is attached, the front lower control arm, of the lower control arm. Sorry, the front mount, rear mount of the lower control arm, axle stand. And this is another reason why I said you want to be able to move your wheels back and forth, because the steering linkage is probably going to get in the way pulling this mount out. There's the 17mm bolt that holds it in, and there's a heat shield that's going to either fall down or I'm going to grab it. One of the two. Eek. Where'd you go? I heard it, but I don't see it. There we go. Come on out of there. Alright. I'm trying not to get in your way. Okay, heat shield. As you can see, there's the little notch for the locator, that little pin on the top will go in there on the mount, and there's a corresponding notch on the engine carrier, so you can't screw them up. You can only get them in one way, and the left and right are identical. Okay, Jimmy, come out of there, please. Okay. I am hoping to hell I don't have to remove the I might have to remove a steering link just to get this. I'm gonna have to turn you off and get you out of the way, but you can see up here that the mount is being blocked off by steering linkage. I'm gonna have to move it either way. If I have to remove anything, I'll let you know. Otherwise, it's just gonna be fiddle the suspension or the steering arms back and forth until I can get that out, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, the mount is out. Stop that. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Excuse my language. Nothing more frustrating than a work light that won't cooperate. Right here by the longitudinal chassis support, the rail that runs from the outer rocker panel back into the inner, is your ground strap. It's got a 13mm bolt on it right here. Is that it? Yes. And I merely took that off, and the mount slipped in past that, or out past that. And so let's take it out and let's compare it to the new one before I put the new one in. Okay. Yeah, there's a little height difference. I think 23 years with a 800-900 pound motor sitting on it. I don't know how much this motor weighs, but I'm just assuming. Look how cracked the original is too. It's separated. See that? Oops. See the separation cracking there? Toast. Actually, what I first noticed, I noticed a little bit of a clunk on acceleration, but I was thinking it might be the flex disc in between the drive shaft flex disc, and I didn't think too much of it. I don't hammer it very often. But when I did that, I also noticed an exhaust tick. I'm like, why the hell? I mean, the exhaust doesn't tick it. There's no noise whatsoever. I had it up on a ramp in the exhaust shop, looked around, found nothing. No exhaust leak, no nothing. But what was happening was the engine was flexing under hard acceleration and putting a little bit of pressure on the exhaust pipes and probably opening up a flange, one of the exhaust flanges, and getting a bit of an exhaust leak then. So anyway, this thing's toast anyway. So we're going to pop the new one in exactly the opposite of the old one, and I'll be back to show you the other side. It's going to be pretty much the same. We'll see if there's any other hurdles on that side, anything weird, but I hope the frick not. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so the passenger side mount, can you see in there? Is on. See it, the little pin? Pin! I'm pointing at pin lined up. Heat shield on. You have to tighten this one before you lower the engine. Obviously, you're never going to get in there. That's the only access. Tighten it to about 50 foot-pounds. You're not going to be able to get a torque wrench in there exactly the same as I couldn't. I've got 3 torque wrenches. None of them fit in there. So it's called PFT, pretty fucking tight. Not lug nut tight, about halfway to that. Or tighten it till it strips and back off a quarter turn if you really... No, don't do that. Just pretty damn tight. So yeah, now we're going to move to the other side, and like I said, if anything is completely wacky different, I will let you know. If not, I'm just going to do it. But I'll show you the end result. Barring that, we'll be coming back to just reassembling everything back in a few minutes. Driver's side, a little bit tighter than the passenger's. Same top bolt removal from the top. Just make sure you jack the car up high enough. Toast. Toast, toast, toast. Look at that. And I was wondering, I thought my steering was leaking, but I couldn't find any loss of fluid from my hydraulic steering pump, although it was all over it. And guess where it's coming from? Hydraulic mount. It all gooped out of here. Done. Done, done, done. I won't even bother comparing this to the new one because I think you can tell this one's done. Anyway, this one slid right out the back. I didn't have to remove anything else. Same as the other one. It's just a Jenga up, in, around until you get it sorted out. I don't have anyone home with me, but I'm sticking my arms underneath a jack supported, or if you were using a chain hoist, same thing, a supported engine, you're sticking your arms under there. If they got crushed, I'm screaming. Those people over there next door, they can hear me. I hope. And I hope they know how to work my jack, because I'll probably be unconscious from the pain. Anyway, yeah, putting these back on, and I will get to the final in a second when I'm done with this one. Oh, actually, I'm also going to do the rear one, so it won't be the final. Actually, maybe I'll do that one as an I'll do that as a separate one. I don't want to make this video too damn long and bore the crap out of you. Okay, if I fail to say that the driver's side is a little bit of a prick, I'd be lying. Just trying to get past these hoses, 2 arms down past those hoses, hold that mount up with the little notch in it, and as you can see, I abandoned rubber gloves when like the 4th pair tore on me under there. I'm friggin' filthy, bleeding from whatever. I don't know what I cut myself on, I have no idea. But the second mount is on. No big trouble there. Anyway, we're just going to bolt those 13 mil bolts on the bottom. And I can't forget to put that ground strap back on. And then putting on the fan shroud is merely the reverse. Push it in the holes, turn it to lock, push the pin in, done. Put your elbows back on, hook your battery back up. If I do the transmission mount tonight, the 3rd engine mount, you can already see, look how much higher the engine is. I guess you can't really see, but I can tell how much higher the engine is sitting. It's probably half an inch higher than it was before. Like this header, I could not get my hand down in there between that header and the heat shield like that. It was almost touching. And yeah, it was actually quite a bitch to get the oil filter out, to get the canister out. I had to kind of wiggle it around, but now it's much higher, much better. Anyway, I'm babbling. Need coffee, need beer. Thanks for watching. Final note, the lower bolts, when you put them back in, 13 mil bolts, 20 foot-pounds, no more. The engine weight is sitting on them. They're not going anywhere. They're just basically locating the mount and keeping it from moving. Any tighter, you'll probably snap them and not have a lot of fun. 20 foot-pounds. I'm going to grab my torque wrench and put those in, And that's it. Thanks for watching.